Hey, Seattle hockey fans, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. I am your host, Erica L. Ayala. On today's show, we're going to talk about a Kraken-versary. It actually happened yesterday, but we're going to talk about it today. We're also going to talk today about yesterday's episode and the premiere of Welcome to the NHL, which will feature Shane Wright. And of course, it's Firebirds Friday. What's going on with our AHL team? All that and more on this episode of Locked on Kraken.
You are Locked on Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Erica L. Ayala here for another episode of Locked on Kraken. Happy Friday. I hope that you took in our wellness tip of the day yesterday, which of course was thankfulness and gratitude. As always, I am so thankful that you choose to spend part of your day with this daily podcast on your favorite hockey team, your favorite NHL team at least, the Seattle Kraken. But as I mentioned, today we're going to focus a lot on the Firebirds because it's Firebirds Friday. That is our AHL American Hockey League affiliate. We have some information. We're going to recap some of the things that Ron Francis told us about and what to expect from this team. But first, what's Kraken? What's Kraken, of course, is our segment where we talk about Seattle Kraken news. And I alluded to there was a Kraken-versary of sorts. We got not our first player, of course, that happened well before the expansion draft, but yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the expansion draft. It was actually Chanel Keenan that brought it to my attention first yesterday with a little time hop. That was the first time that we ever met in real life, in person. So hot. Oh my goodness. It was so hot that day. I'm sweating just thinking about it. And it's apropos because heat wave all throughout the country. So I know I say this a lot, but make sure you're staying hydrated. All right. I'm just going to flex a little. This is my Beijing 2022 little canteen there. Anyway, what's Kraken? Yesterday was the Kraken-versary of the expansion draft. And I saw this graphic. I thought it was super cool. So let's go through who the heck is still on this Seattle Kraken team. And if we take a look at this, it's not a lot. It's not a lot of guys. You can see here, of course, we'll talk a little bit about Carson Twarynski and Cole Lind in particular, but Borgen, Geeky. We talked about Geeky, was it this week or last week? I think it was earlier this week, is going into the arbitration hearings. You can't out Pizza the Hut. There's also a little cameo of Morgan Geeky in Welcome to the NHL, the documentary. Again, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Jonas Donskoy, of course, Tanev. So I love, though, the little Band-Aid over Chris Driedger. And if you missed it on social media, the Seattle Kraken, they had some players, including Driedger, reading messages. Driedger, Yanni Gourde, it was Jordan Eberle, reading fan mail. And some fans from the Pacific Northwest in particular had their letters to the team read. There was some Tendy love there, which I loved. A lot of young players reaching out to people now that are going to be playing and doing work in their community. I want to talk about a community story. We're actually going to talk about that next week because I do want to get to Firebird Fridays. All right, so it's 16 total that are still with the team. We'll see what happens with Morgan Geeky. Also next week, so we're going to talk about some of the activations that the Seattle Kraken does, but also the schedule. The full Seattle Kraken schedule is out. And next week, we'll talk about some of the patterns that we see. Bob Condor for the Seattle Kraken has a great story up on the website about that. Okay, the last thing for What's Kraken, our segment where we're talking about Seattle Kraken news, is, of course, welcome to the NHL. And if you missed it yesterday, I was able to, and I'm going to.
Shane, as you were standing on that stage putting on a Seattle Kraken sweater, what was going through your mind?
Dream come true. This is what I worked for my whole life.
So you saw a little bit of that clip there. That's also a clip that they circled, the NHL circled on social media. But the documentary and the behind the scenes look at the 2022 draft. Of course, we know there was drama and it included our guy. That's how we got our guy, Shane Wright. Shout out to Emerald City Hockey. I've seen the merch, the swag, the fits, if you will. 3 wrongs make a right. Shane Wright for us. And I talked about it yesterday, but there were some really great, I got my notes out. There were some really great little clips and audio that the documentary got about Shane Wright and him reacting. They captured the real-time reaction of the first 3 picks, including one pick in particular where Shane says, that one hurts. That one hurts. So what was his father, Simon, saying to his son as the picks were changing? Again, draft day, the movie that is. Real draft day scenario here. It's even led to some speculation. Is Shane Wright a bad culture fit? Make sure you check out our YouTube page because I have talked about that. And I talked about, what that means if it's true, and what my thoughts are on that. So if you're not already subscribed to YouTube, go check it out. I have been seeing an uptick in people watching our videos, which I absolutely love. The next step is for us to get more subscribers. And the way that works is just it's a YouTube thing, but that allows us to monetize, and thus that allows me to pour more money into the production of this podcast. So if you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to Locked On Kraken on YouTube. You can also hit the little bell, which will give you a notification of any time I upload new videos. So yesterday's episode, we talked about welcome to the NHL. We also talked about some prospects, or I should really say development camp, and one undrafted player in particular that came through development camp, dev camp as it's known. So it's a good episode. But as promised, we're going to get into Firebirds Friday. And so we have the Seattle Kraken schedule, and we'll talk about that next week. But on today's show, coming up next, let's talk about the Firebirds and what we can expect from them as they embark on their maiden voyage in the Valley. Hey, hockey fans, thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily routine. Right now, I want to tell you about BetOnline. It is the fastest and easiest way to check on all your betting needs. And if you're an NHL fan, and maybe you even partake in the betting in the NHL, then you know that Matt Tkachuk, where he's going to go, where he's going to land is a big thing. And BetOnline has your odds. The Seattle Kraken are not on there, but yet and still, if you're a betting person, that's the place to go. But it's not just the NHL. It's Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, and even your favorite combat and e-sports. Head to BetOnline today. You can use your mobile device, your tablet, laptop, desktop, whatever you got, and learn more about the action happening right now. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, party people, we're going to keep this train rolling. As I mentioned, it's Firebirds Friday. On Fridays, we're going to collect all of the news about our new AHL affiliate, the Coachella Valley Firebirds, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm actually going to, this is Fire news / Seattle Kraken news, but I alluded to the 16 players that we got in the expansion draft that are still in the pipeline. And that, of course, includes Cole Lind and Carson Twarynski. It was announced yesterday, as you can see here. This is up, the amazing Kraken team, Bob Condor here. Twarynski back in the fold. And if you read this story, check it out over at the SeattleKraken.com, or you can check out the show notes if you're watching on YouTube. Again, subscribe to YouTube. Or if you're listening on audio, just go check the show notes. The link is there for you. But these are 1 year, 2-way contracts. And the AAV, or the average annual value for Lind, is $850,000 for when he plays for the Seattle Kraken, and for Twarynski, it's $750,000 AAV in the NHL stints and appearances. Now, the other thing that this article gets into, which we of course know, is that these two played with the Charlotte Checkers, and who was their assistant coach? None other than Disco Dan. That's right. Dan Bilesma already has worked with Lind, Twarynski, and anyone else that's still in our system that played with the Charlotte Checkers, because he was the assistant coach for the Charlotte Checkers, and now he is our head coach for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Now, in case you missed it, we took you over to that press conference introducing Disco Dan, and we have a episode on Disco Dan talking about his hiring. He talked a lot in that episode, or in that media availability, about having a good feeling that taking the job for the Charlotte Checkers as an assistant bench boss could lead to him getting the head coaching job when Coachella Valley was ready to fly. And that's exactly what happened. In case you missed it, also over on YouTube is our conversation with Jessica Campbell, who is the assistant coach for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Not only is she the assistant coach in our system, but that makes her the first ever woman coach in the American Hockey League. Stick taps to Jessica making history. And she told me about the Kraken Community Iceplex and the thing that the Seattle Kraken did to ensure that they had a welcoming place for women coaches, not if, but when that would happen. It blew my mind. It's something I'd never heard of before. So go check out that episode. So we have Lind, we have Twarynski. We're starting to see what the Fire have, and that's great, because they're just like the Seattle Kraken. The schedule dropped yesterday. The day before, for both teams, they talked about the home opener. And so this is a little bit of a unique situation, though, for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So as we've talked about before, Acrisure Arena is not ready yet. That's something that we saw happen with the Seattle Kraken. It's not easy to get all of the timelines together, but the home opener for your Coachella Valley Firebirds will be against the Roadrunners, and that will be December 18th, 6 p.m. So that's a long time, though, from puck drop for the Firebirds, which starts in October. So again, similarly to what we saw with the Seattle Kraken, they're going to be road warriors. Now, technically, the Firebirds will have home games. So where the heck are they going to play? In the Pacific Northwest. And there has been some sleuthing. I see you, Kraken Twitter, and there has been some sleuthing, and it looks like some of these games will not specifically be at Climate Pledge Arena, but at least 1 or 2 have potential to be at Climate Pledge Arena. So if you take a look at that schedule, again, I have the links in the show notes for you, but we're going to open against Calgary. They don't have a expansion AHL team, but they do have a new AHL team. So we're going to wait and get more details there. But then you also see that we have Stockton, we have the Roadrunners, and the San Diego Gulls, which of course the legendary Willie O'Ree played for the San Diego Gulls, works for the San Diego Gulls. If you missed it, we had Tara from the Charlotte Checkers. We had an interview with her about her time with the Gulls. Lots of connections. We do our best. We do our best here to give you as much information, or wraparound services, if you will, Locked on Kraken. And I want to also put this out there. Yes, engagement is fantastic, and it helps with the algorithm, but also I genuinely appreciate when you leave comments, and I try to answer all of the comments. I don't know immediately, but I get around to all of the comments. And so thank you to those who talk about my energy and just the fun and excitement that I'm having a good time. I'm having fun and I get to talk to some awesome people, and it's great to see how full circle everything comes. For example, we had Allison Lucan on the show before she even officially started working with the Seattle Kraken, and now look at what she's doing. Is it the Locked on Kraken bump? I don't take credit for that. No, it's just that Allison Lucan was a star on the rise, and I got the chance through women's hockey to get it on the ground floor. Anyway, so let's look at again this news that it's going to be. We have to wait until December, until the opener, but also take a look just at the schedule. So the Firebirds are going to be road warriors, and 16 game stretch on the road, even after their kind of Pacific Northwest hybrid. And you see it's the Canucks, the Flames, the Silver Knights, the Condors, Ontario Reign, etc., etc. The only non division opponent is the Minnesota Wild affiliate, which pretty sure they're called the Wild. But everything else is playing in their division. So what does that even look like? Well, coming up next on Locked on Kraken, I'm going to take you to the AHL. Now we get to talk about the AHL a little bit more. We talked about the Charlotte Checkers, of course, last season, but let's get into the AHL a little bit more. What are we looking at as far as standings? Who are some of the teams that we're going to see in action, etc., etc.? But remember, now that you've listened to Locked on Kraken, go check out the Locked on NFL show, because starting this week, the Locked on NHL show gave you 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. So we talked about BetOnline, where the game starts, and we are going to give you which NFL stars move the betting line the most. That's available. Again, it started on Monday, July 18th. Locked on NFL, wherever you listen to podcasts, and of course, on YouTube. We're closing out the show talking about the American Hockey League. Now, let's start by taking a look at the Pacific Division, because, well, we're in the Pacific Division. And so you see here that it was the Stockton Heat. Ooh-wee. 45 wins, 16 losses in 68 games. The San Jose Barracudas, they got some work to do. I will say they have a pretty sweet logo, not going to lie. But the Iowa Wild, again, I told you, is a team that we're going to play, not in our division, but we're going to play them. They are representing the Central Division. And then I want you to take a look at the Atlantic Division. Now, I think there's potential, unlike what we saw happen with the Seattle Kraken, for the Firebirds to really get in there. A lot of the players that are on our roster were impact players for the Charlotte Checkers, who not only made the playoffs, just missed out on the finals, but we covered that, of course, here at Locked on Kraken, but they clinched the Atlantic Division. They had a bye into the second round of the playoffs. Of course, who does that include? That includes Joey Decord, who we know is our guy. That includes Alexander True, who we have on contract again, Cole Lind, Carson Twarynski. Now, we did lose Connor Carrick to Boston. He went to Boston, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But I'm very curious to see. And also, they're not getting used to a new coach. Dan Bilesma, Disco Dan, was with this team last season, and I gotta tell you, I am impressed by Jessica Campbell. I am very, very impressed by Jessica Campbell, from having a conversation with her, from hearing how other people talk about her. I think this was a great acquisition. I love how Dan Bilesma had to slide into just like a form email on her website. Couldn't find a contact. Much respect for staying low key. My stuff is everywhere. Just saying, in case you want to, call me, beat me if you want to reach me for hockey work. Let me put that out there. Please, let's keep it respectful. Anyway, Jessica Campbell is awesome. I am so excited for what she is going to bring. I think her philosophy is right on. And I think there's going to be a different energy with this Firebirds team than what we see with the Seattle Kraken. We talked about it on yesterday's show. I see some people out here talking about tanking strategy and whatnot. No. We're not doing that. I do think that the Seattle Kraken, in getting Shane Wright, which again, welcome to the NHL debut, is already up on ESPN Plus, and then if you want to watch it on the NHL Network, that's tonight. But I think there's going to be a really great energy. I think there's going to be an excitement to learn. I, for one, am very excited to get out to Coachella Valley. We also had Zoe Hickel on the show, who is working in community outreach, made a great sales pitch and is saying, like, listen, come to the game and then play around a golf. I'm not a golf fan, but that's a very Coachella Valley thing to do. So why not? I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here. And of course, we should keep a keen eye on how the AHL Coachella Valley team is doing, because in theory, that is breeding ground for the Seattle Kraken. Now, we have been able to build through the draft in getting Matty Beniers and getting Shane Wright. The assumption right now is that both Beniers and Wright will start the season on the Seattle Kraken roster. Now, I know Ron Francis, again, you can head to the YouTube page to hear his comment and toto, if you will, in total. But I know he keeps saying that the phrase he likes to use is that they will be given every chance possible. I'm paraphrasing probably. It's not a direct quote, but they'll be given every opportunity to make the roster. I do think, though, that the Seattle Kraken are banking on them making the roster. And that goes back to, I'm going to bring it up, our boy Ryan Donato. Can we get some love for Ronnie? Can we get some love for Donato? With Lind and Twarynski signed, there's not many more positions for forward. And I'm not going to be able to find it now. Or actually, I think it was on that same... anyway, I'm not going to be able to find it now. But one, on the graphic that I showed you, people are going crazy about that Band-Aid. That's hilarious to me. But also, it was under the Lind and Twarynski news. Running out of space for forwards. I don't understand why at this point Ryan Donato is a liability. Now, and Morgan Geekie has already counted on the roster. There might be a situation where he doesn't come back. I mean, again, he's going through the arbitration hearing. But, Donny boy, bring Donato back. Who scored the first goal? Ryan Donato. Who was Mr. Energy? Ryan Donato. Come on. You mean to tell me there's not room for Ryan Donato on this roster when you're being very conservative in free agency? I think that's a little bit of a mistake. I think we're tipping too far on being conservative. Figure it out. And maybe that's what they're doing. I'm hoping that's what they're doing. I think Ronnie Boy wants to stick around. I think that if the Seattle Kraken do take Ryan Donato, they don't want to take him long term. And I do think that's the crux of the issue, right? But again, you brought on some of these other guys, and I understand. We gotta, it's a little bit of patience now, especially because you gotta wait on Wright. You gotta wait on Beniers. You didn't necessarily think you were gonna have it right. Probably thought they were getting a defenseman. I still think they need to shore up the defense. I am very disappointed in that we have not made moves defensively. I think there's room to still make a splash in free agency. I'm not hopeful that the Seattle Kraken will do it. But if they don't, then get Ryan Donato. Come on. What are we doing? I know we talked about it earlier. 3 years for Ronnie Francis. What's the grade? I think it's to be determined. I don't think he gets his final letter grade after this season. But if it's looking like They can't be, and I accept this uh, correction or suggestion again on YouTube in the comments. Maybe is it ambitious for us to be a 500 team for our whole schedule? Yeah, probably. Am I mad at that? Absolutely not. We need to reach a higher. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I did like though the edit to maybe be a 500 team at Climate Pledge Arena. Protecting the home barn, that was such a problem. It was up and down and up and down for the Seattle Kraken last season. And they were road warriors. We talked about that. They had long stretches, and that schedule was because Climate Pledge Arena wasn't ready. And so I don't think that was necessarily fair to the players. So, how are they going to remedy that? I talked about the Krakenversary, if you will, of the expansion draft, and the players. Each one of them talked about the loyalty of the fans. Eberle talked about when you have fans that are that loyal, you just want to play well and you want to do well for them. So you got to do that by winning at home, baby. We got to win at home, boys. So I like that. If we're not 500 overall, got to be 500 at home. Protect this house. Hold fast, stay true, protect this house. All right, hold on. I've got my, we're going to go through our acronym again. Yesterday, I told you about thankfulness. I had this conference and I love taking notes. They also give me a really nice padfolio. Like, look at that. That's nice. And it came with a notebook. It's not even a pad, it's an actual notebook. Anyway, so the acronym is TIME. Thankfulness is what we talked about yesterday, how you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. So if you're feeling anxious, focus on your gratitude and make sure your gratitude is expressed specifically and that it's personalized. That was the T. So the I in time is inspiration and insight. So something that you can take action on. Focus on things that you can take action on. We all want to be inspired. We all want to have really great insight. And the next step is to have those things be something that we can take action on. So, what the speaker was talking about is every day, this person for like a month would listen to, like, all right. Matthew McConaughey, he gave a graduation speech. Or, listen to other speeches, listen to it every day. And so that becomes muscle memory, right? Listen to Locked On Kraken every day. And it becomes muscle memory. And then the messages, the nuggets of inspiration and insight that are in that then become a part of your daily routine. And you start to embody those aspects and you fit them into your lifestyle personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally. So find something that inspires you, like Ryan Donato cheering when he got the first Seattle Kraken goal, just as an example. But find that insight, find that inspiration, and hold on to it, hold fast to it, stay true to it for a handful of days at a time and see how that impacts not only your gratitude, but your attitude and how you can move forward towards whatever are your dreams. I am so grateful to you. My motivation, I'm inspired by the potential of this team, of this franchise to make hockey a better place. And so even when I'm tired or when I'm traveling all over the United States, and sometimes I don't do my best, but I really do always aim to bring a good product because there's something different happening in Seattle and it's needed and it's necessary. And the fact that I get to be a part of that, an indirect way, it brings me so much joy. I really have to say that. It's not easy. Lord knows it's not easy, but it is fun. And so that's my insight. That's my inspiration. That's how I like to hold fast and stay true. Be kind to yourself and to each other. Make sure you're drinking some water. I just busted through this whole podcast, so I'm going to take a swig of water and I will see you on Monday. I almost said happy holidays. It might be I'm sure there's a holiday somewhere, but enjoy your weekend, Seattle fans, and I'll catch you next week. Don't forget to watch Welcome to the NHL. I want to know, what are your spicy quotes that you get from Shane Wright? I'll see you on Monday.